Greetings, everybody. This is the Starving Martian, and I welcome you back to Collecting the Collective, where we take a look at everything Borg and determine whether it should be assimilated into your collection or resisted, although we know how futile that can be. So, today, we are looking at a Borg from the movie Star Trek First Contact. Now, to put First Contact into some context, um, it was the second feature length movie to be made starring the crew from Star Trek The Next Generation. It came on the heels of Star Trek Generations, which itself came after the final episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. So, when this movie came out, Deep Space Nine and Voyager were both going on. In fact, this movie would have significant impact on the TV show Voyager, but more on that in another episode. It actually would affect Deep Space Nine too by changing the Starfleet outfit, but again, that's for another episode. So, the movie came out, and with it came a larger budget than they had on the TV show. Now, the classic Borg look, I love, I adore, but it must be said, if you go back and watch those early episodes, the Borg are more or less wearing black bodysuits with tubes and wires and bits stuck on them. So when they made the movie, they were able to go and completely redesign the Borg. They kept the essence of what they were, but made them more technological. There's the wiring and stuff goes more directly into the body. It doesn't look so much like they're wearing some kind of body stocking, and the skin tone is not just that white it used to be. There's a little bit of fleshy kind of color poking through, but in a corpse sort of way. The Borg, more or less, from this point on, become space zombies. People have argued whether or not this improves the look of the Borg. And as I said, the nostalgic part of me does miss the classic next gen look. But I have to also admit that the Borg from First Contact going forward do look scarier. They do look more imposing. They've also gained the ability to assimilate their prey by use of these little tubes that come out of their hands and inject nanites into people. And people have argued that from First Contact going forward, the Borg become less scary. They become less of a threat because the first couple of times you see the Borg, they're nearly impossible to defeat, to destroy, and from then on, they seem to get blown up with greater and greater ease, which is true. However, I feel that the threat of assimilation makes them even more scary than they were before. Now, in the Next Generation show, there was talk about assimilation, but we really only saw it done once, and that was to Captain Picard when he became Locutus in Best of Both Worlds. And that was treated as a special event, as something different or unique. So you never really got the feeling that if you were on one of these starships, you were in danger of assimilation. Unless, of course, you were somebody of importance, like the captain was. But for First Contact going on, it's open season on human beings and any other alien races that they deem worthy of inclusion into the collective. But enough about the lore of the Borg. Let's get down to the figure himself. As you can see, um, he's got one human hand. In fact, he's got one whole arm there untouched. This Borg is exercising his right to bear arms. Huh? No, never mind. Alright. He's also got this really odd, I don't know what going on for a hand. I don't know what that is. It could be some kind of vice, a gripping device. It could be maybe some kind of laser torch, a cutting tool. That actually seems more likely to me. I don't recall seeing it in the movie, which doesn't mean it wasn't there. There were a lot of Borg in the movie, all with their own unique adaptions, which is one thing I like about the Borg, is just how, they all have one mind and yet they're all so different to look at. So I don't remember seeing that in the movie, but I suspect it was there because I have seen it in an episode of Voyager. is actually on a dead Borg that's like on top of a whole pile of Borgs assembled by a species called Species 8472. Again, another episode. So the fact that they had this particular attachment in Voyager suggests to me that it was probably left over from something else. So it might have been in First Contact. It's probably one of those blink and you miss it sort of deals. So let's get in as close as our camera will allow before it gets too fuzzy. And look at some of the details on this guy. Alright, so they've used a variety of colors, a variety of paints. You got some little bit of copper coming through here. You got a darker gray outline and some black wires and tubes. You got copper again for the eyepiece, along some black and silver. Going around the back of the figure, you got this black wires connected to this silvery gray bit. So they did a lot of painting on him, a lot of different colors, and I really appreciate that. These tubes here come separate, just like with the first board we looked at, but these are so much easier to put in. They're actually long enough so that they fit easily, and they have little knobbed parts on the end so they snap into place and they don't pop out. You don't have to glue them. Coming up to the feet, you'll see that they are two different designs. This one here almost looks like a knight in armor. So the Borg, as usual, are very non-symmetrical. The arm here has got good detailing. It's got these veins coming through. You can see the musculature underneath where the fingers are. And I'm not sure what he's doing with his hand there, but he kind of looks like he's in pain. It looks like he's probably got some wires in here that are just pulling on some nerves. Maybe he can't even make a fist if he wanted to. Poor guy. And this guy is pretty posable too as far as Borg go. Now, as with most Borg, the wires are going to interrupt your movement a little bit, but his head can turn, turning his whole waist, but his head can turn. His arms, let's see, can go up and down, and they bend at the elbow, and they swivel just above the elbow. So you can have him go, I love you this much. Yeah, right. Stop that. That's silly. The legs come up. And they have a knee bend. So you can do a little Irish dance. If he so desires. And nice thing about the detailing on the legs, it's got these copper tubes running down, so you can bend and twist his legs, and then you know how to align them to make them stand properly. Just get all the tubes lining up on both sides, and voila. Alright, now, as far as accessories go, he comes, of course, with his stand, which is a nice stand. It's bigger than the one we looked at earlier with our first Borg, because this Borg himself is bigger. We'll do a size comparison in a minute. And it's very nicely detailed. And his foot plugs into that rather well. So you can stand him up, put him wherever you need to put him. He stands pretty well on his own, though, as you see. He also comes with a couple of other accessories. Comes with this device here, which his backer board calls a surgical grafting tool and epidermal transplant device. So apparently this can be used in the process of assimilating a species. Unfortunately, the way his hands work, he can't hold either of these. Let me show you another accessory he comes with. He can't hold that either. So I don't know why they bothered, but he's got that. And he's got this thing here called a Borg scanner, which the description reads, alien cyborg detector and analytical device. No idea what that means itself. All I know is a heck of a lot of Borg figures from before and after come with this Borg scanner. I could be wrong again, but I don't remember a single Borg using one of these. It seems like something that, Starfleet would use to scan for Borg, maybe, but The analytical device and cyborg detector sounds like something that would be built into the Borg. In fact, this looks to me like a cell phone from like the late 90s. Hello? Hello? Get terrible reception there, Aaron. Okay. And the other thing it comes with is the pull-out mini posters. I'll have to pull back to show the pull-out mini poster. But yeah, this is the mini poster it comes with. It's pretty cool. You get a nice image of a Borg there. First contact. Zephyr Cochrane's ship, the Phoenix. And the Enterprise E, the first appearance of that ship over the planet Earth. So, it's a rather nice bonus. You can pin that up where you like. That same image of that Borg, by the way, is on his backer board. It's a very nice backer board, showing much of the same. And then on the back, of course, you just have a little read-up on the Borg, picture of him, and you'll see the picture, his face and some of the details are painted differently. He's got these copper wires. The face has a little more color in it. As usual, it would have been nice to get this paint-up job, but they went the cheaper route, which, you know, mass-marketed action figures, you have to sort of expect that. And there's the other figures in the line. And it's kind of a shame they only made this one Borg. They were the main threat of the entire movie, and you would think you'd get a couple different molds out of them. Alas, this is all we've got. So, how does he stack up to other Borg? Well, we've only covered one other Borg so far, so let's bring him out. This is the Borg from Star Trek The Next Generation. Wave 1 of that toy line. Alright, so as you can see, this guy is much taller. The entire toy line for Star Trek First Contact was done on a larger scale. This is still, of course, put out by Playmates, but sadly these figures no longer interact one with another. Of course, the Borg assimilate so many species, you could just assume that they assimilated some giant race at some point. But you could also see here the differences in style, in aesthetics. See how this guy looks like more like the tubes are overlaid on top of the humanoid, where this guy here, they're more ingrained into him. And also, as I said, you could tell the different colors of the skin, whereas that's just a Joker white, and that's more of a zombie gray. So let me know in the comment section, guys, which version you prefer, the classic or the newer version here. Alright, and that's about it for the Borg from Star Trek First Contact. So, should you assimilate this guy into your collection or resist him? Well, I would definitely assimilate him into my collection if I were you. I've already done it, as you could see, into mine. I do like this guy a whole lot. I think that he looks fantastic. I love the paint job, the detailing. I wish I knew what this arm did, but aside from that, I have no real complaints. And he's relatively cheap. I was able to pick this guy up for under $10, as most of these Borg figures are. He would later be retooled into a Borg from the Warp Factor toy line. We'll take a look at him later. Basically the same thing with different arms, and so we'll see if that's an improvement or not. But yeah, no, I would definitely pick this guy up. So anywho, we will be looking at more Borg material in the days to come. Next time up, we'll take a look at the best way to collect all the necessary Borg episodes to catch you up on who and what the Borg are. But until then, this has been the Starving Martian saying thanks for watching and keep your eyes in the skies.